In the heart of a quiet London street, snow falls silently, blanketing the cobblestones and rooftops in a soft, sparkling hush. Tonight, in a humble little home tucked between narrow alleys and dimly lit lampposts, a poor family prepares for Christmas, not with gold or fine trimmings, but with warmth, care, and the quiet magic that even the coldest streets can hold. Step gently into their world, where the flicker of candlelight dances upon worn wooden floors, and the soft whispers of the winter wind weave through the city, carrying the promise of comfort, hope, and the gentle rhythm of life itself. Outside, the snow drifts lazily, floating down in delicate, weightless flakes, each one catching the faint glow of the gas lamps and shimmering like tiny crystals suspended in the evening air. The streets are unusually silent, the usual clatter of horse-drawn carts and the distant hum of voices softened by the thick layer of snow, creating a serene, almost magical stillness. From the rooftops, smoke curls upward from chimneys, curling and twisting in the cold air before dissipating into the night, carrying with it the comforting scent of burning coal and wood, mingling with the faint, sweet aroma of dried herbs and small fires in countless homes nearby. The family's home, modest yet inviting, stands quietly among the row of small brick houses, its faded green door creaking gently as the wind nudges it, and a soft golden glow spills from the window panes, hinting at the warmth and life within. Inside, the air is cozy and slightly fragrant, a mixture of wood smoke, simple cooking, and the lingering scent of pine from a tiny branch brought in to mark the season. The father, a lean man with calloused hands, tends carefully to the small iron stove in the corner, adding the last few pieces of coal with precise, deliberate motions, each addition sending soft sparks that briefly illuminate the room before fading into the shadows. His movements are slow, measured, almost meditative, and there is a quiet dignity in each gesture, a rhythm that seems to echo the steady heartbeat of the home itself. The mother moves gracefully through the room, her hands busy with the preparations of a simple meal, sweeping the worn wooden floor with a gentle, unhurried motion. She hums a soft tune, the melody familiar and comforting, like a thread woven through countless Christmases, and her eyes glow with the quiet satisfaction of nurturing those she loves. The children press their small hands against the frosted window panes, their faces pressed close to the cold glass as they watch the snow descend like a slow, endless lullaby. Their breath fogs the window slightly, and they giggle softly, not loudly, letting their delight be gentle and almost reverent in the calm of the night. They take scraps of paper and string, folding and tying them into tiny stars, ornaments and shapes, hanging them delicately from the low ceiling beams and along the edges of shelves, each decoration a quiet testament to their creativity and the joy they find even in the humblest of surroundings. The mother pauses in her sweeping to place a small bowl of porridge on the table, adding a mere pinch of sugar, a rare and treasured treat, and the children gather quietly around it, their fingers brushing the rim in anticipation. The father joins them after tending the fire, and together they eat slowly, savoring each bite as if it were a feast, their conversation low, filled with gentle laughter and whispers of memories past. Outside, the snow continues to fall in soft, deliberate waves, each flake catching the warm glow of the gas lamps, creating a world of glimmering serenity that seems to pause time itself. The distant tolling of church bells echoes softly, a low, sonorous sound that reverberates through the silent streets and settles into the hearts of the family, mingling with the warmth of their home and the quiet comfort of being together. Each movement in the house, the gentle clank of a spoon against a bowl, the soft scrape of the broom across the floor, the flicker of candlelight is magnified in the hush of the snow-covered city, creating a rhythm that is calming, steady, and soothing like the gentle pulse of a lullaby. As the family finishes their simple meal, the father tells a story in a quiet, measured voice, speaking of Christmases past, of streets full of laughter and children skating on frozen ponds, of carolers singing softly beneath gas lamps, and of fleeting moments of joy that linger like snowflakes on the tongue. The children listen, their eyes half closed with drowsiness, captivated not by grandeur but by the warmth of words and the security of being near those they love. Every sound, every scent, every flicker of light is amplified in the hush of the evening, creating a cocoon of calm and serenity that wraps the family in a gentle embrace. Outside, the wind whistles softly through the narrow alleys, brushing against the eaves of rooftops, rattling shutters ever so slightly, but it is no more than a whisper, a lullaby carried by the cold night air. The snow continues its unhurried descent, coating the world in soft white, muffling all that is harsh, and transforming the streets into a gentle, peaceful expanse where the troubles of daily life fade into the quiet hush of the season. The children, their small hands intertwined, finish hanging the last paper stars and ornaments, leaning back to admire their work, a modest display that glows softly in the flickering light, and with heavy eyelids and soft sighs, they begin to drift toward sleep. The parents watch them, hearts filled with quiet pride and gentle relief, knowing that for tonight, despite scarcity and hardship, there is peace, and that in this simple, humble home, Christmas has already arrived not in gold or lavish gifts, but in warmth, love, and the quiet magic that lingers in the soft falling snow, in the gentle flicker of candlelight, and in the steady, enduring heartbeat of family. As night deepened over the city, the snow continued its gentle descent, covering rooftops, doorsteps, and the narrow cobblestone lanes in a soft, unbroken blanket of white that seemed to absorb the last sounds of the day and replace them with a peaceful hush. The gas lamps along the street flickered warmly, casting long, soft shadows that danced upon the snow and painted the world in delicate hues of amber and gold. The distant tolling of church bells, low and resonant, echoed through the quiet streets, mingling with the soft whisper of the winter wind, creating a lullaby for the city. A song that carried through alleys, around corners, and into the hearts of those who paused to listen. Inside the small home, the family had shifted their evening rhythm from preparation to reflection. The father, having tended the fire with careful attention, now sat by the window, his lean frame relaxed yet alert, gazing at the snow-laden street below. His thoughts drifted gently, as if carried by the wind, to memories of Christmases long past, of streets bustling with merchants and children skating on frozen ponds, of carolers singing softly beneath gas lamps, and the distant laughter of neighbors, hurrying home before the chill of night took hold. Beside him, the mother arranged the last of their modest decorations, ensuring that each paper star, each tiny ornament hung in just the right place to catch the flickering light of the candles and stove. Her movements were unhurried, deliberate, a meditation in themselves, and each motion seemed to fill the room with calm. The children, now tired from the quiet exertions of their evening play and the small chores they had helped with, gathered together on a worn rug near the fire, their heads resting against one another as they listened to their father recount tales of winters past. He spoke softly, his voice a gentle murmur, weaving images of snowflakes as large as feathers, streets lined with lanterns, and distant forests where deer might wander, all rendered in the kind of detail that invited the imagination to drift lazily, as if floating upon the soft currents of a stream. Outside, the snow pressed against the windows with a faint, rhythmic tapping, and the wind moaned gently through the narrow spaces between buildings, stirring the icicles that hung from eaves and sending tiny droplets of frozen water to clink softly onto the ground below. Each sound was subtle, almost musical, and the family absorbed it without comment, allowing the quiet symphony of winter to lull them into contemplation and a sense of safety. Despite the harshness of the world beyond, their door, the children's eyes, heavy with sleep, reflected the glow of the fire and candlelight, and their small hands, clasped together, relaxed as their imaginations carried them to imagine lands of snow-laden forests and warmly lit cottages, where Christmas was abundant and worry was unknown. The father, observing their gradual drift into sleep, allowed himself a quiet smile, feeling the steady warmth of their small bodies and the gentle rise and fall of their breaths. It was in these moments, so delicate and tender, that he understood the true meaning of their humble Christmas. Not in the gifts they could not afford, not in the richness they lacked, but in the shared presence of those they loved, in the warmth of their little home, and in the quiet magic of a world softened by snow, light, and human kindness. The mother paused from her work to listen to the children's soft breathing, a comforting rhythm that seemed to harmonize with the crackle of the fire, and she felt a gentle sigh of relief escape her lips, as though the worries of the day had dissolved into the night. Outside, the city itself seemed to take part in this quiet celebration. The narrow streets were deserted, save for the occasional figure hurrying home beneath a large, worn cloak, their footsteps muffled by the thick blanket of snow, leaving behind a faint, delicate pattern on the pristine white surface. The distant sound of bells continued to drift through the night, mingling with the subtle swish of snow-laden branches and the occasional soft murmur of neighbors speaking in hushed tones as they completed their own preparations for Christmas. Each sound was absorbed into the fabric of the night, creating a delicate tapestry of tranquility and gentle anticipation. The air, crisp and cold, carried the faint scent of baked bread, roasting chestnuts, and simmering soups from nearby homes, blending into the smoky warmth drifting from chimneys and creating a sensory cocoon that felt at once comforting and magical. In the quiet corners of the room, the children finally succumbed to sleep, their heads resting on small pillows, their blankets wrapped tightly around them, and their dreams unfolding in soft, unbroken waves of warmth and wonder. They imagined snowflakes turning into sugar, streets lined with lanterns, and the quiet laughter of friends and neighbors mingling with the wind and bells. The parents watched over them, feeling a soft, steady pulse of love and hope, knowing that for tonight, the world outside, with all its cold and uncertainty, had been held at bay by the simple acts of care, warmth, and attention within their humble home. The mother lit a final candle and placed it on the windowsill, its flame flickering softly against the glass, casting dancing shadows upon the walls and ceiling. The father added the last log to the stove, watching as the fire settled into a gentle, even glow, radiating warmth that seemed to permeate every corner of the room. Outside, the snow continued its silent descent, undisturbed, and the street remained hushed, the city wrapped in a soft, white embrace. For a few hours at least, the harsh realities of their lives' scarcity, hardship, and toil were suspended, replaced by a gentle, almost sacred tranquility. And as the night stretched on, the family lay quietly, cocooned in blankets and warmth, their hearts filled with soft anticipation and the quiet knowledge that, in this simple, modest dwelling, Christmas was already alive, not in riches, not in abundance, but in the enduring comfort of love, presence, and shared hope, carried gently on the hush of snowfall and the soft glow of lamplight that bathed the room in golden serenity. Asterisk. As the first light of Christmas morning crept gently across the rooftops, it cast a soft golden hue upon the snowy streets of London, bathing the narrow alleys, brick facades, and frosted window panes in a warm, gentle glow. The world outside remained hushed, the snow acting as a quiet blanket, muffling the distant clatter of carts and the low hum of early risers, while the delicate ringing of church bells floated lazily on the crisp winter air, echoing softly across the empty lanes and alleyways. Within their modest home, the family stirred slowly, the children's small movements tentative and sleepy, their eyelids heavy with dreams that still lingered from the previous night. The mother moved quietly among them, adjusting blankets and softly brushing strands of hair from their faces, her fingers delicate and careful, her actions infused with a tenderness that seemed to radiate warmth into every corner of the room. The father rose from his chair by the stove, stretching gently and listening to the faint crackle of embers as they shifted in the small hearth, the warmth radiating steadily, a comforting presence that filled the home with soft light and a sense of safety. He moved with deliberate, unhurried motions, adding a few more pieces of coal to ensure the fire would last through the morning, each placement accompanied by a faint hiss and a gentle spark that briefly illuminated the dimly lit room, before fading into a gentle glow. Outside, the snow continued to fall, lighter now, drifting lazily and settling upon windowsills, rooftops, and the soft footprints of early passers-by, who moved with hushed care as they made their way to morning tasks, mindful not to disturb the fragile serenity of the season. The children stirred, their small voices low and tentative, exchanging whispered wishes and soft giggles as they noticed the sunlight beginning to filter through the frosted windows, painting delicate patterns upon the floor and furniture. The mother prepared a simple breakfast, carefully heating a pot of porridge over the stove, its gentle aroma mingling with the faint scent of pine from the small branch that adorned the corner of the room, and the soft smoke from the embers curling upward to meet the morning light. She moved with a quiet grace, stirring slowly, humming a gentle tune that echoed softly through the small home, and each note seemed to carry with it a sense of calm, a reminder that even in the simplest of circumstances, Christmas held its quiet magic. The father watched the children as they shifted from sleepy curiosity to gentle anticipation, their small faces flushed with the warmth of the stove and the soft excitement of the day. He spoke softly, suggesting they wash their hands and prepare to gather around the table, his voice low and steady, blending seamlessly with the ambient hum of the home and the delicate sounds of the snow outside. As the children complied, they marveled at the way the morning light transformed their surroundings. The tiny stars and paper ornaments they had strung the previous evening glimmered gently, reflecting the glow of the sun and the fire in a quiet magical dance that seemed almost ethereal. Each movement, each sound was absorbed into the gentle rhythm of the home, the faint clinking of spoons, the soft rustle of clothing, the low murmur of voices, all combining into a symphony of calm that wrapped the family in a cocoon of serenity. The porridge was served with care, each spoonful met with soft murmurs of gratitude, the family savoring the warmth and nourishment more than the taste itself. For the act of sharing, it created a sense of togetherness that no abundance of food could surpass. Outside, the snow glimmered in the morning light, undisturbed save for the occasional delicate tracks of birds or the careful footprints of neighbors, delivering a small loaf of bread or a bundle of firewood, gestures of kindness that reflected the quiet generosity that flourished even among those with little to give. The father told another story as they ate, his voice slow and measured, describing distant snowy villages, the soft crunch of boots on fresh snow and the faint, melodic sound of carolers' voices drifting across frozen ponds. Each word, each image was soft and deliberate, designed not to excite or overwhelm, but to lull the mind gently, to create a space where imagination and relaxation could coexist in perfect harmony. The children listened intently, eyes half closed, lulled by the steady cadence of their father's storytelling and the gentle warmth of the room, their breaths matching the soft rhythm of the fire's crackle. The mother occasionally added a quiet comment, a soft smile, or a tender glance. Her presence calm and grounding, a steady anchor in the gentle ebb and flow of the morning. Outside, the city seemed to join in the quiet celebration. The snow, now catching the full light of morning, reflected the faint movement of clouds across the pale winter sky, while the occasional distant bell or muffled conversation in the streets seemed to harmonize with the warmth of the home, creating an atmosphere of serene continuity that flowed seamlessly between indoors and out. As breakfast concluded, the family took a few moments to simply sit together, absorbing the gentle glow of the fire and sunlight, letting their hands brush, their small touches a silent communication of love, understanding, and gratitude. They imagined the day stretching before them, simple yet rich in quiet joys, the soft crackle of the fire as they added logs, the gentle brushing of snow from the doorstep, the laughter of children as they played quietly in the winter wonderland just beyond their door, and the small gestures of neighbors who would pause to offer a piece of fruit or a warm smile. The father reflected upon the day ahead, knowing it would hold no grand feasts or lavish gifts, yet understanding that the warmth of togetherness, the presence of gentle love, and the subtle wonders of the snowy streets would be more than enough to fill the heart. Outside, the wind whispered softly through the narrow alleys, carrying the faint scent of coal, pine, and baking bread from homes nearby, and it seemed to wrap around the city like a gentle embrace, a lullaby of winter that eased every tension and softened every worry. As the soft light of midday spread through the narrow streets of London, the snow that had fallen overnight began to sparkle in quiet brilliance, catching the gentle rays of the winter sun and reflecting them across the frost-laden rooftops and cobblestones. The city, still hushed under its soft blanket, seemed almost suspended in time, as if the very essence of Christmas had wrapped its calm around the buildings, alleys, and lamplit corners. Within the modest home of the small family, life continued at a gentle pace, each movement deliberate, unhurried, and filled with quiet purpose. The children, their eyelids still heavy with the soft dreams of the morning, explored the small wonders of the home, brushing snow from the windowsills, gently touching the paper stars and ornaments that had been crafted the night before, and pausing to watch the faint shimmer of candlelight and firelight mingle upon the worn wooden floor. Their laughter was soft, almost like a whispered echo, weaving seamlessly into the low crackle of the stove and the distant hum of muted activity in the streets beyond. The mother, her hands busy with the small task of arranging the simple breakfast plates, moved gracefully through the room, humming a soft, almost imperceptible tune that seemed to harmonize with the gentle rhythm of the day. Her movements were fluid, each gesture deliberate and calming. The sweep of her hand across the countertop, the careful placement of a cup, the gentle flick of a cloth across a chair all performed in a rhythm that encouraged the children to move in harmony with the soft, meditative flow of the household. The father, having completed his careful tending of the fire and small chores of the morning, took a brief moment to peer out of the frosted window, observing the quiet street beyond. The snow still clung gently to the edges of roofs, chimneys, and the occasional branch of a tree, and in its pristine hush, it seemed to hold the entire city in a moment of suspended calm. A few neighbors were visible through the soft shimmer of snowflakes, their movements slow and purposeful, carrying small bundles of bread, a scrap of coal, or a few sticks of firewood to share with those in need. These acts of quiet generosity went unnoticed by no one, their subtle beauty adding to the unspoken magic of the season, reminding all who witnessed them that even in scarcity and hardship, human kindness could illuminate the coldest of days. The family's midday meal was humble, yet it was approached with the same reverence and mindfulness that had characterized the morning. The mother stirred a pot of thin soup, the aroma mingling with the lingering warmth of the stove and the faint sweetness of dried herbs tucked on a nearby shelf. The children set the table with small plates and utensils, arranging them carefully, their movements deliberate, almost ceremonial, a gentle acknowledgement of the sanctity of togetherness in the midst of modest means. The father added a few extra logs to the stove, ensuring the fire would remain steady, its glow suffusing the room with warmth that seemed to seep into every corner, embracing each family member in a quiet, sustaining comfort. Outside, the snow continued to fall in delicate whispers, each flake settling with barely a sound, and the distant chiming of church bells provided a soft, rhythmic counterpoint, a constant reminder that time itself moved gently in the city. Of winter wonders, the children, having completed their small preparations, gathered near the hearth, allowing their imaginations to wander as they watched the tiny sparks rise from the stove and dance briefly in the air before fading into soft, unseen spaces. The father's voice returned low and deliberate, telling another story of Christmases past, of markets filled with the muted bustle of shoppers, of children skating across frozen ponds under lantern-lit skies, and of the fleeting quiet joys that could be found even in the humblest of homes. The children listened, eyes half closed, lulled by the steady cadence of his voice and the warmth of the fire, their breaths slow and even sinking gently into the comfort of the room. Outside, life continued quietly. The streets, though empty of hustle and clamor, were not completely still. A soft patter of boots across snow, the faint rustle of coats brushing against brick walls, and the muted murmur of neighbors exchanging kind greetings created a subtle background symphony that added to the overall serenity rather than disturbing. Each sound was absorbed into the gentle rhythm of the snow-covered city, as if the entire world had conspired to create a perfect lullaby, both for those awake and those still ensconced in dreams. The mother paused her work to glance out the window, catching sight of a small group of children playing quietly in the snow, their laughter low, almost shy, echoing softly through the alleys and dissolving gently into the surrounding hush. Their joy was understated, yet palpable, filling the air with a sense of gentle celebration that needed no grand spectacle or elaborate ornamentation. Even the adults who passed on their short journeys through the streets seemed touched by a quiet calm, nodding to one another with serene smiles, acknowledging the shared understanding that this day was not measured by wealth or abundance, but by simple presence, quiet acts of generosity, and the calm beauty of a world softened by snow and light. In the home, the family's afternoon passed in a series of gentle rituals. The mother folding laundry, the father repairing a small toy the children had found discarded in the street, and the children adding more paper ornaments to their modest display. Each act was slow, deliberate, and careful, a meditation in motion, emphasizing mindfulness and attention to small details, the kind of focus that allows the mind to drift toward calm, reflective states. The smell of the stove, the faint sweetness of pine and herbs, and the quiet hum of voices intermingled with the soft, persistent snow, creating an environment that was rich in sensory texture yet gentle in its effect, a perfect ambience for quiet thought, meditation, and restfulness. As the afternoon wore on, the light began to soften, filtered through the frosted windows and the lingering snow clouds, casting a gentle, muted glow across the room. Shadows stretched and moved in slow, languid rhythms, dancing softly along walls and floors, joining with the flicker of the firelight and candlelight to create a seamless, soothing play of light and dark. The children, now tired from the quiet exertions of play and preparation, lay down near the stove, their heads resting on folded blankets, their small hands entwined in quiet comfort, and their eyelids closing slowly as the warmth of the fire and the gentle rhythm of the household lulled them toward sleep. The parents, observing this serene scene, exchanged soft smiles, their eyes reflecting the golden glow of the firelight, a silent acknowledgement of the deep, unspoken satisfaction that comes from seeing those you love at peace. And as the snow continued to fall silently outside, covering the city in its soft embrace, and the distant bells tolled with quiet precision, the family experienced a profound sense of calm. As the soft glow of late afternoon filtered through the frosted windows, the light of the winter sun grew muted, painting the streets of London in delicate shades of gray and silver, the snow sparkling faintly like tiny diamonds under the subdued sky. The family prepared to venture briefly outside, not out of necessity, but to immerse themselves in the tranquil beauty of the quiet streets, to feel the crisp winter air on their cheeks, and to witness the subtle rhythms of the city as it embraced the gentle cadence of Christmas Eve. The children, wrapped snugly in scarves, mittens, and coats patched lovingly by their mother, shuffled carefully along the narrow hallways and stepped onto the snow-laden doorstep, their small boots sinking softly into the fresh powder. Each step produced a faint, satisfying crunch, echoing gently against the tall brick walls of the surrounding homes, and the sound mingled with the soft whisper of wind through the alleys and the faint tinkle of distant church bells. The father, holding one child's hand, glanced around at the familiar yet transformed streets, noting how the snow softened harsh edges, smoothed uneven stones, and muted the usual clamor of the bustling city. The mother followed closely, her eyes scanning the scene with a gentle appreciation for the quiet beauty surrounding them. The icicles hanging like delicate crystal ornaments from eaves, the faint tendrils of smoke curling from chimneys, and the soft reflections of lamplight upon the snow that created fleeting, magical patterns on walls and streets. The children paused often, crouching to examine the footprints of birds, the delicate frost clinging to window panes, or the faint sparkle of ice forming on puddles, their small observations quiet and deliberate, adding to the calm rhythm of the family's leisurely walk. Along the way, neighbors ventured briefly from their homes, their faces kind, their movements deliberate and gentle, offering soft greetings, warm smiles, and occasional small gifts, a slice of bread, a handful of coal, or a few sprigs of holly for decoration. Each gesture, subtle yet meaningful, reminded the family of the quiet generosity that thrived even amid scarcity, and it reinforced the gentle magic of the snow-laden Christmas Eve. The streets, though empty of the usual hustle, were alive with these understated interactions, the soft murmur of voices, the faint crunch of footsteps, the rustle of winter coats, and the occasional, almost imperceptible jingling of a bell from a distant shop or carriage. The family paused to watch as a few children, slightly older, skated carefully upon a thin sheet of frozen water in a nearby courtyard, their laughter low, careful not to pierce the serene ambience, and their movements graceful, almost balletic. As they glided on the ice, the father's voice broke the gentle quiet, speaking softly to the children about past winters, about games once played and streets once filled with carolers, his words deliberate, slow, and filled with imagery that encouraged the children to imagine a world larger than the narrow streets they inhabited, yet softened and made approachable by warmth and care. The mother occasionally added to the stories, weaving in details of kindnesses, small miracles, and quiet joys that the family had experienced over the years, her tone soothing, rhythmic, and measured, each phrase intended to calm and reassure, to invite contemplation and to gently settle the mind into relaxation. The snow continued to fall in the spaces between their movements, drifting lazily and coating each surface with a soft, clean layer that seemed to erase harshness from the city and replace it with quiet serenity. The family paused frequently, allowing themselves to absorb the texture of the moment, the cold air brushing against their cheeks, the faint scent of burning wood from neighboring chimneys, the softness of their layered clothing against their skin, and the slow, steady rhythm of each breath syncing with the quiet pulse of the city. With each pause, the children's attention to detail heightened. The way snow clung to branches, how a thin layer of ice glittered like glass, or how the faint movement of a curtain revealed a neighbor quietly observing the street. These subtle observations were never rushed. They were absorbed slowly, creating a sense of calm awareness, a meditative engagement with the world around them. After a time, they returned to their modest home, brushing snow from boots and garments with care, ensuring that no trace of the cold disrupted the warmth they had cultivated inside. The father tended the stove once more, arranging logs and embers, so that the fire would provide steady, gentle warmth throughout the evening, while the mother added water to a small kettle, allowing steam to rise and mingle with the faint, sweet aroma of herbs and dried fruits that lingered in the room. The children sat quietly by the fire, constructing tiny figures from scraps of paper and thread, their movements deliberate and calming, a reflection of the slow, meditative rhythm that pervaded the household. The father told another story, this time about a quiet Christmas night in a faraway village, where snow covered the hills and lanterns flickered softly against the twilight. His voice rose and fell like the gentle undulations of the snow outside, carrying images of kindness, warmth, and small miracles, all delivered in a tone that encouraged imagination while maintaining a profound sense of calm and serenity. The mother occasionally interjected, reminding the children to notice details, to observe the dance of firelight against walls, the subtle fragrance of the stove, the way the snow continued to fall in quiet persistence outside, all the while reinforcing a sense of gentle mindfulness, soothing their minds and inviting them to relax fully into the warmth of home and family. Outside, the evening continued its slow approach, the daylight fading gently, leaving the streets bathed in silvery hues and the snow reflecting the subtle glow of the gas lamps. The occasional passerby was a soft shadow moving across the white expanse, a muted step here, a gentle murmur there, each sound absorbed into the hushed rhythm of the city. As the soft light of evening settled fully across the city, London's streets seemed draped in a gentle, silvered haze, the snow now reflecting the muted glow of the gas lamps that lined the narrow alleys and winding lanes. Inside the modest home, the family had transitioned into the evening, the soft warmth of the fire and flickering candlelight creating a cocoon of calm, serenity, and gentle reflection. The mother moved quietly through the room, attending to the simple preparations for their modest dinner, each gesture deliberate and slow. Stirring the pot, adjusting the placement of a small dish, wiping crumbs from the table, and arranging the utensils with careful precision. Each movement carried a rhythm that was soothing, almost hypnotic, a natural meditation on care, attention, and the subtle magic of home. The children, having spent much of the day engaged in quiet play and gentle exploration, gathered near the fire, their small hands occupied with folding paper ornaments, arranging tiny stars and creating soft decorations that reflected the warm glow of the hearth. Their eyes, reflecting the flickering light, glimmered with calm anticipation and wonder, not for grand gifts or extravagant displays, but for the warmth, presence, and security that enveloped them in the cozy evening. The father, tending once more to the fire, added a few final logs, watching as the embers shifted into a steady glow, sending soft warmth through the room and illuminating the gentle expressions of his family. He then seated himself near the children, speaking softly, weaving stories of distant Christmases, of forests blanketed in snow, frozen lakes where children glided on skates, and streets lined with lanterns and quiet laughter. His voice rose and fell with measured care, each syllable slow and deliberate, carrying the children's imaginations gently through the snowy landscapes he described, while maintaining a tone that was calm, soothing, and meditative. The mother occasionally interjected with small details, describing the subtle scent of pine needles, The soft crunch of fresh snow under tiny boots, or the muted song of distant carolers, all meant to enhance the sensory tapestry the children were immersed in. Outside, the snow continued its soft, persistent fall, covering rooftops, streets, and alleyways in an unbroken blanket of white, muffling distant sounds and creating a serene hush that wrapped the city in quiet reflection. The distant bells tolled in gentle rhythm, their sound weaving seamlessly into the hushed ambiance of the home, complementing the soft crackle of the fire, the faint rustle of paper from the children's ornaments, and the subtle swish of clothing. As the mother moved, each sound harmonized into a quiet symphony of domestic tranquility, a lullaby composed not of music alone, but of the combined essence of warmth, attention, and gentle movement. The children paused in their play to listen to the fire, the distant bells, and the quiet rhythm of the household, their minds absorbing the calm, their imaginations wandering through snowy forests, softly lit streets, and imagined wonders that were just out of reach, yet entirely safe and comforting. The father guided them through these imagined landscapes with a gentle cadence, describing soft snowfall brushing against cheeks, the quiet laughter of companions, and the subtle thrill of discovery in small, hidden corners of their winter wonderland. The mother, mindful of the evening's approaching dinner, moved quietly to arrange the small table, adding a few extra sprigs of pine and berries for decoration, the faint green and red colors catching the glow of the firelight and reflecting softly onto the children's faces. The family's humble meal, prepared with patience and care, was served with deliberate calm: a small stew, a modest loaf of bread, and a few tender root vegetables, all arranged in a manner that emphasized reverence for the nourishment and togetherness they provided. The children ate slowly, savoring each bite not merely for sustenance, but for the shared experience of presence and quiet ritual. Outside, the city streets remained enveloped in soft silver light, each flake of snow drifting lazily to the ground, muffling the clatter of distant carts and the occasional footstep. The faint scent of burning coal, pine, and simmering soups lingered in the cold air, mingling with the soft whisper of wind to create a sensory lullaby that reached even into the smallest, most modest homes. The family lingered after dinner, seated together near the fire, sharing quiet conversation, gentle laughter, and soft reflections on the day's events. The father spoke softly of past Christmases, small acts of kindness witnessed in the neighborhood, and the subtle wonders found even in scarcity. The children listened, half drowsy but deeply attentive, absorbing the calm rhythm and gentle imagery, allowing their minds to drift as their bodies relaxed into the warmth surrounding them. The mother, adjusting blankets and smoothing hair, encouraged a sense of mindfulness, guiding attention to the soft flicker of candlelight, the gentle crackle of the stove, and the quiet beauty of the snow-covered streets outside. The evening passed slowly, each moment flowing seamlessly into the next, creating a rhythm that was at once unbroken, gentle, and meditative. The father occasionally narrated short stories, each one carefully paced, with rich imagery designed to soothe, entertain, and inspire gentle reflection. The children's eyes, now half closed, reflected the firelight in soft pools of gold, their bodies curled in blankets, their small hands occasionally reaching out to touch ornaments or the mother's steady hand. The city outside, shrouded in snow and muted light, seemed almost suspended, every flake falling in perfect harmony with the calm unfolding within the home. As night fully descended over the snow-covered city, the streets of London lay quiet beneath a soft, silvered blanket, the gas lamps casting gentle pools of light upon the glistening cobblestones. The hush of winter enveloped the alleys, rooftops, and narrow lanes, muffling even the distant hum of the few late-night passers-by, while the faint, rhythmic toll of church bells drifted lazily on the cold air, creating a lullaby for the sleeping city. Inside the humble home, the family began the final transitions of their day, settling into a serene rhythm that had carried them from dawn to the quiet evening and now gently toward night. The children, wrapped snugly in blankets and soft woolen clothing, brushed their teeth, washed their hands, and prepared for bed with careful, deliberate movements, each gesture an echo of the calm that permeated their surroundings. Their small voices were low and gentle, words exchanged in hushed tones as they whispered soft goodnights to one another, their breaths mingling with the faint warmth rising from the stove and the subtle scent of pine from the modest branch that adorned the room. The mother, her movements measured and tender, guided each child with soft encouragement, smoothing hair, adjusting blankets, and ensuring that the children were fully comfortable. She moved with a quiet grace, her presence a constant source of reassurance and calm, and each motion seemed to radiate warmth throughout the small room, filling corners, shadows, and the spaces between each family member with gentle comfort. The father, seated near the hearth, attended once more to the small stove, adding just enough coal to maintain a steady, warm glow throughout the night. The soft crackle of the fire, the faint rising smoke curling toward the ceiling, and the settled dance of embers created a sensory lullaby, a gentle rhythm that echoed the heartbeat of the home itself. The children, now tucked into their small beds, or curled on folded blankets near the hearth, gazed quietly at the flickering firelight, their eyelids growing heavy, minds drifting lazily through gentle imaginations of snowy forests, twinkling lanterns and quiet streets filled with laughter and warmth. The father spoke softly, weaving brief, tender stories of Christmas nights past, each phrase carefully measured, each image soothing and serene, guiding their minds toward calm, reflective dreams. He described softly the hush of the city under snowfall, the muffled footsteps of those moving with quiet purpose through the streets, and the faint glimmer of lanterns reflecting off snow-laden surfaces. Each word was meant not to excite, but to cradle, not to energize, but to relax, easing the children deeper into a state of calm. Steady attention that slowly gave way to drowsiness. The mother occasionally joined in, her gentle voice adding descriptions of warmth, the subtle glow of candlelight, and the safe embrace of home. She encouraged the children to notice details, the gentle sway of shadows on the walls, the tiny sparks rising from the stove, the soft hum of the wind outside against the windows, the faint distant toll of the bells, all woven together into a delicate meditative symphony of sensory calm. Outside, the snow continued to fall with slow persistence, each flake settling softly upon rooftops, streets, and trees, creating a seamless white blanket that muffled the world and transformed the city into a tranquil, magical expanse. The occasional passerby, wrapped in heavy coats and careful scarves, moved quietly along the sidewalks, leaving faint footprints that would soon be softened by the continuing snow, their low voices blending unobtrusively into the natural hush of the winter. Night. The family watched briefly through the frosted window panes, noticing the faint glow of distant lamps, the gentle sway of branches under the weight of snow, and the subtle sparkle of ice glinting in the pale light. Each detail was observed with a slow, deliberate appreciation, emphasizing mindfulness and the serenity of the moment. The children's eyelids drooped steadily, breaths becoming long, even, and peaceful, and their small hands relaxed, occasionally brushing against blankets or each other, a soft tactile reminder of warmth and presence. The father paused his storytelling, letting the quiet of the room, the gentle rhythm of the fire, and the soft ambience of winter carry the children deeper into restful states. The mother moved between them one last time, adjusting blankets, placing a small cup of warm water nearby, and whispering soft assurances that they were safe, warm, and loved. The family's small home glowed softly, filled with light, warmth, and the steady heartbeat of togetherness, a sanctuary from the cold, silent world outside. The wind murmured faintly through the narrow streets, rustling lightly against the edges of buildings, while the snow continued its unhurried descent, each flake settling like a delicate promise of peace and calm. Even the faint sound of distant carollers, muffled by the thickness of the snow, seemed to harmonize with the quiet within the home, adding a subtle layer of gentle resonance to the night's serenity. As the children finally drifted fully into sleep, the parents lingered briefly near the fire, their hands clasped or gently touching, hearts quietly full with the soft satisfaction of a day lived in presence, warmth, and mindful attention. They reflected on the simplicity of their Christmas, the subtle beauty of small acts, and the enduring magic that resided not in grand gestures but in shared moments, gentle care, and the quiet rhythms of life that often went unnoticed. Deep into the night, London lay wrapped in a thick, silent blanket of snow, each flake descending slowly, deliberately, as if in no hurry to reach the ground, carrying with it a gentle serenity that seemed to settle over the city and seep into the very bones of every building, alley, and rooftop. The gas lamps that lined the narrow streets cast long, flickering shadows on the snow, creating subtle patterns that moved almost imperceptibly with the shifting flame, a quiet dance of light, and dark that seemed to breathe alongside the rhythm of the city itself. The faint tolling of distant church bells continued, each note resonating softly through the still night air, mingling with the delicate whisper of the wind as it brushed against the eaves of houses and stirred the branches of snow-laden trees. In their modest home, the family rested in quiet repose, the children fully asleep, their small breaths slow, even, and full of the gentle rise and fall of deep relaxation. Their dreams carried them softly through imagined landscapes, where snow-laden forests stretched endlessly, and soft lantern light glimmered on hidden pathways, guiding them through scenes of wonder, quiet adventure, and gentle discovery. Father sat near the fire, watching the embers shift and glow, his gaze reflecting both the warmth of the flames and the tender satisfaction of the day well spent. Each flicker reminded him of the transient nature of light and warmth, yet also of the constancy of care, presence, and gentle love that had been woven through their small home from morning until now. The mother, seated nearby, allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection, her hands resting in her lap, feeling the subtle warmth radiating from the stove and fire. She considered the simple pleasures of the day, the soft laughter of the children, the gentle rhythm of meals prepared and shared, the quiet generosity of neighbors passing through snow-covered streets, and the meditative magic of a city transformed by snow into a calm, gentle sanctuary. Outside, the snow continued to drift lazily, settling atop rooftops, window ledges, and cobblestones in a continuous, almost hypnotic rhythm. Occasionally, a faint sound of distant footsteps or a low murmur of a passerby would ripple softly through the night, only to be absorbed immediately by the thick layer of white that muted sound and created a perfect silence that felt sacred, complete, and unbroken. The children's dreams seemed to carry them through this snowy cityscape where quiet lights glimmered in windows, faint smoke drifted lazily from chimneys, and narrow streets wound gently toward unseen wonders. Their imaginations wandered through soft, snow-covered parks, where tiny animals tiptoed through the frost, and lanterns swayed delicately in the night air, casting golden circles of warmth across white fields. The father's voice, though silent, now lingered in their memories, guiding their imagination as a gentle current, a soft thread of warmth and reassurance woven into the tapestry of their dreams. The mother's soft humming from the evening, remembered in fragments, added a lullaby-like texture to the dreamscape, creating a seamless connection between the waking comfort of the home and the imagined serenity of the snowy night beyond. Outside the home, shadows moved gently, shaped by the flicker of distant lanterns and the soft shimmer of snow-reflecting moonlight. Each window became a tiny canvas of warmth and light. The silhouettes of families huddled near fires, the glow of candle flames, and the faint traces of movement within each modest dwelling contributing to a sense of shared, gentle tranquility. That spanned the city. The father, observing the quiet streets from the frosted window pane, felt a profound sense of connection to this calm, to the rhythm of life flowing gently outside, to the subtle heartbeat of the city wrapped in snow, and to the enduring magic of Christmas that existed not in abundance, but in quiet presence, care, and attention. The mother, glancing toward the children, allowed a soft sigh to escape her lips, a sound that carried not just relief but gratitude, a recognition that the day had unfolded in ways both simple and profoundly beautiful, that the rhythm of the household, the gentle pace, and the immersive serenity had created a space where hearts were full, minds were calm, and the world seemed to hold its breath in perfect harmony. Snowflakes continued their slow descent, each one unique, delicate, and transient, landing lightly upon surfaces, only to be joined by countless others and creating a seamless white covering that transformed the familiar city into a dreamlike wonderland. The street, silent and still, was only occasionally punctuated by the faint crunch of boots from a late wanderer, the soft murmur of a passerby carrying coal or bread, or the distant bark of a dog muffled by snow and distance. Each sound was absorbed by the thick white cover, leaving the city in a profound calm that seemed both timeless and fleeting, a delicate balance of presence and quietude. Within the home, the family's small hearth became the heart of this calm, the glow of embers and the gentle sway of flames creating a warm, secure center from which the day's experiences could be reflected upon and integrated into the consciousness of each member. The children, fully enveloped in sleep, experienced dreams that mirrored the tranquility outside. Gentle snowfall upon silent streets, softly glowing lanterns, the faint silhouettes of neighbors moving kindly and deliberately, and the quiet magic of small, unnoticed wonders that only the most attentive and reflective eyes could perceive. The father's mind drifted alongside the children's imaginations, envisioning soft, snow-covered streets where each lantern, window, and footstep contributed to an unbroken sense of calm, safety, and warmth. He allowed himself to linger in the imagery, feeling a profound connection to the city, the season, and the delicate, enduring rhythm of human kindness that persisted even amidst scarcity and hardship. The mother's gaze shifted from the children to the softly glowing fire, tracing the gentle dance of shadows on the walls, the flicker of flame mirrored in her own thoughts, and the muted light that filtered through frost-laden windows. Each detail was noticed fully, appreciated deeply, and held in the mind with a deliberate mindfulness that reinforced the meditative atmosphere of the home. Outside, the snowflakes, though silent, seemed to carry the essence of the night, moving gently through the air, swirling in soft eddies and settling atop the world with a delicate, almost reverent touch. The city, in its muted quiet, seemed to exist in a state of perfect pause, every street, alley, and corner participating in a symphony of stillness and reflection. A lullaby composed not of music, but of rhythm, light, and gentle motion. Within this harmonious landscape, the family's home stood as a sanctuary of warmth, light, and calm. Each flicker of fire, each whispered memory, each touch of blankets and small hands reinforcing the steady, enduring sense of presence and safety. The children's breathing deepened, slow and rhythmic, their small bodies relaxed, and their minds fully immersed in dreams, shaped by both the day's gentle experiences and the calm magic of the snow-laden city beyond. The parents, observing this profound serenity, felt a quiet satisfaction, a subtle awareness that the day's simple joys, The careful tending of home, the shared stories, the deliberate attention to small gestures had created a lasting impression of calm, presence, and warmth, the kind that could be carried quietly into sleep and beyond. The wind whispered faintly through narrow alleys and across rooftops, brushing lightly against icicles, rooftops, and the occasional lantern, producing soft, almost musical vibrations that merged seamlessly with the crackle of embers, the faint ticking of a clock, and the distant resonance of bells. All elements combined to form an immersive environment of gentle reflection, safety, and calm wonder, both inside the home and across the city, creating a seamless transition. As the world outside drifted deeper into the stillness of night, London lay quiet beneath a soft, unbroken blanket of snow, each delicate flake descending slowly, settling upon rooftops, streets, and alleyways in a rhythm so gentle that it seemed almost imperceptible, as if time itself had paused to observe the quiet magic of Christmas. The gas lamps, now dimmed and flickering softly, cast faint halos upon the snow, their warm, amber glow reflecting subtly across the frozen cobblestones, creating an otherworldly luminescence that seemed to hover just above the ground, as if the city were suspended between sleep and waking, between reality and a dream. The faint toll of distant church bells continued, soft and measured, echoing across the rooftops and alleys, each note lingering in the crisp air before fading into the silence, blending seamlessly with the delicate whisper of wind as it moved through the narrow streets, brushing against eaves and icicles, and rustling the branches of snow-laden trees. Within their modest home, the family rested quietly, fully immersed in the calm rhythm of the night. The children, nestled under layers of blankets, slept deeply, their small chests rising and falling in even, slow breaths, the gentle warmth of the hearth radiating around them, filling the room with a sense of security and soft, unbroken comfort. The father remained near the fire, seated in a wooden chair, his eyes fixed on the glowing embers as they shifted and shimmered, reflecting upon the day's events and the subtle beauty of the evening. Each flicker of flame, each soft crackle of the logs seemed to resonate with his thoughts, a reminder of the steady, enduring warmth that could be created with care, presence, and mindfulness. The mother, seated nearby, allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection, observing the interplay of light and shadow across the room, noticing the soft glimmer of candlelight on small ornaments, and appreciating the simple, profound magic of this modest home filled with love, warmth, and the enduring rhythm of togetherness. Outside, the snow continued its unhurried descent, each flake falling with such delicacy that it seemed to glide rather than drop, settling upon windowsills, rooftops, and streets in perfect silence. The distant city, though mostly asleep, was punctuated by faint, gentle sounds. A soft footstep here, the muted brush of a passing coat there, a faint whisper of distant conversation, all absorbed into the thick, insulating blanket of snow, leaving the air calm, pristine, and serene. The family's home, illuminated by the firelight and the faint glow of candles, became a sanctuary within the wintered city, a place where the chaos and harshness of the outside world seemed softened, almost suspended, and replaced with the quiet rhythm of hearth, heart, and home. The children's dreams wandered gently through imagined snowy landscapes, their minds painting serene scenes of frozen lakes, glimmering lanterns, quiet forests, and streets where the soft crunch of footsteps on snow echoed like a lullaby. The warmth of their small beds, combined with the firelight and the protective presence of their parents, created a sense of total safety, allowing their imaginations to explore freely, yet always within the gentle boundaries of comfort, calm, and security. The father's thoughts drifted alongside the children's imagined landscapes, considering the small acts of kindness and generosity he had observed and participated in that day. Each gift of bread, each shared smile, each subtle gesture of care seemed magnified in the hush of the night, resonating with a quiet, almost sacred energy that underscored the true spirit of the season. The mother, observing her sleeping children, felt a profound sense of gratitude and peace, her mind embracing the delicate balance of warmth, love, and quiet wonder that had permeated the day. She allowed herself to simply notice the soft glow of the fire, the gentle flicker of candlelight, the faint hum of distant bells, and the soft descent of snowflakes beyond the window. Each sensation and meditation in itself, anchoring her in the serene present. Outside, the city lay wrapped in reflective calm. Every street, alley, and rooftop was softened by the snow. The familiar urban landscape transformed into a dreamlike expanse of quiet magic. Faint silhouettes of trees and distant buildings shimmered under the soft light and occasional drifting. Snowflakes sparkled like tiny stars, lending a gentle luminescence to the world beyond the home. The wind moved subtly through the streets, a soft, melodic whisper that carried the faint scent of burning coal, pine, and winter herbs, weaving a delicate lullaby for the city as a whole, as if the night itself sought to cradle every inhabitant into calm, reflective sleep. Within the home, the fire continued its steady crackle, the embers casting fleeting shadows that danced across walls, ceiling, and furniture. The gentle glow highlighted the simple objects of domestic life, the well-worn wooden table, the carefully arranged dishes, the modest ornaments crafted with loving hands. Each shadow a quiet reminder of the day's moments, now preserved in calm memory. The children's breathing deepened, their small bodies fully relaxed, and their dreams carried them further into imagined winter landscapes. Snow-covered streets, quiet forests, and hidden alcoves where light and shadow intertwined in soft, harmonious patterns. The parents, observing this serene tableau, allowed themselves to drift in reflection, considering not the grand events of the day, but the subtle rhythms of life, the slow preparation of meals, the shared laughter, the attentive gestures, and the quiet moments of presence that, woven together, created a profound sense of fulfillment. The snow outside seemed to mirror the tranquility inside, falling in a measured, unhurried pattern, each flake a delicate testament to the gentle, unbroken rhythm of the season. Even the occasional sound from beyond faint footsteps, a distant murmur, the soft shift of snow under a passerby's weight, was absorbed seamlessly into the ambient hush, adding subtle texture without disturbing the prevailing serenity. The fire's warmth radiated steadily, filling the room with a gentle glow that seemed to pulse with the family's collective rhythm. The slow breaths of sleeping children, the measured reflections of the parents, the quiet presence of love and care woven into every gesture. As the first faint hints of dawn brushed the sky with soft, muted colors, London remained wrapped in the serene quiet of night's final hours, the snow-covered streets glimmering with a delicate silver glow that reflected the subtle promise of a new day. The city, though still mostly asleep, carried the gentle stirrings of life beginning to awaken. The distant clatter of shutters opening, the faint murmur of early risers, and the occasional soft creak of footsteps on snow-laden sidewalks, all blending seamlessly into the hushed rhythm of pre-dawn. Within the family's modest home, a gentle shift began to take place. The children, still nestled in their blankets near the warm hearth, stirred lightly, eyelids fluttering, small fingers stretching slowly as they gradually transitioned from deep dreams to a quiet awareness of the approaching day. The father, seated near the stove, observed the soft glow of the embers and the subtle changes in light that crept through the frost-laden windows. He allowed himself a quiet moment of reflection, considering the simple, enduring rhythm of life that had carried them from the soft morning light of yesterday through the calm and meditative unfolding of the day into the gentle embrace of night. The mother, moving with her usual measured grace, began the morning's small rituals, tending the stove, arranging the modest table, and ensuring that the home retained its quiet warmth and comfort. Ready to welcome the first moments of a new Christmas morning? The subtle aroma of simmering herbs and the faint scent of pine from their small branch near the window filled the air, blending with the gentle warmth of the fire to create an immersive environment that encouraged relaxation, reflection, and mindful observation of the day's first gentle moments. Outside, the snow glimmered faintly under the soft, pre-dawn light, each flake catching the dim glow of street lamps and the early hints of sun, creating a delicate, almost magical shimmer. Across rooftops, streets, and the occasional tree, the distant toll of church bells continued in soft, measured rhythm, a gentle reminder of continuity and calm, resonating through the still sleeping city. The family rose slowly, moving with deliberate care, their actions unhurried and deliberate, creating a sense of harmony and presence that extended throughout the modest home. The children, still half drowsy, stretched their small limbs and yawned softly, their movements synchronized with the quiet unfolding of morning light and the gentle cadence of the household. They wandered slowly toward the hearth, feeling the yoni, warmth and comfort radiating from the fire, and paused briefly to watch the shifting embers, the subtle dance of shadows across walls, and the soft flicker of candlelight from the small lamps scattered around the room. The father, noting the delicate interplay of light and shadow, allowed himself a quiet smile, appreciating the simple, yet profound, beauty of the moment, the gentle awakening of life within their home, the quiet reflection of snow-laden streets outside, and the enduring rhythm of warmth, love, and care that had guided them through the day and night. The mother, observing her children's gradual awareness, encouraged them to notice the small details of the pre-dawn hours, the soft shimmer of frost upon window panes, the subtle glow of snow reflecting early light, and the gentle hush that seemed to settle across the city like a protective, comforting embrace. Outside, the streets remained transformed by the lingering snow, each step producing a soft, muffled crunch, the occasional faint murmur of movement blending seamlessly with the overarching silence of early morning. Lanterns flickered faintly, their warm light reflecting on frozen puddles and icy rooftops, creating a dreamlike landscape of subtle brilliance and serenity. As the family moved slowly through these gentle morning rituals, they found themselves immersed in a reflective stillness, noticing each detail. The way the frost decorated window panes like delicate lace, the quiet sway of a lantern as the wind brushed softly against its frame, and the faint traces of footprints from the night before, partially covered by new snow. These small observations encouraged mindfulness, appreciation, and an unhurried presence in the moment, anchoring both body and mind in the serene rhythm of life as it unfolded gently around them. The father's thoughts wandered further, reflecting on the subtle lessons of the day and night, the quiet power of presence, the enduring beauty of small gestures, and the meditative rhythm of attention to detail. He recognized that these moments, though simple and often overlooked, held a profound sense of magic and calm, a kind of enduring treasure that required only observation, patience, and appreciation to fully experience. The mother, seated near the fire with the children gathered gently around, spoke softly of the beauty and small acts of care, of warmth shared, and of the quiet magic that existed in a day spent mindfully in the presence of loved ones. Her words, soft and deliberate, carried a gentle melody that resonated with the subtle rhythm of snow falling outside, embers shifting in the stove, and the distant, unhurried toll of bells. The children, their minds now gradually transitioning from dreams to gentle awareness, listened attentively, absorbing the calm, reflective tone of their parents' words, and allowing their imaginations to continue to wander softly through dreamlike landscapes, snow-covered forests, softly glowing lanterns, hidden alcoves of quiet wonder, and streets transformed into magical expanses of gentle light and shadow. The pre-dawn light grew slowly, washing the snow in delicate shades of silver and pale blue, subtly illuminating rooftops, fences, and trees, enhancing the dreamlike atmosphere that seemed to stretch seamlessly from the children's dreams into the reality of the softly waking city. The family moved with quiet purpose, engaging in small acts that reinforced the meditative rhythm. The mother arranging breakfast in a calm, deliberate manner, the father tending briefly to the embers of the fire to ensure warmth, and the children assisting gently, their movements slow, intentional, and mindful. Outside, the snow continued to glimmer softly, each flake settling into the fabric of the streets with gentle persistence, transforming every surface into a reflective expanse of quiet beauty. Faint, intermittent movements, footsteps of early risers, a distant horse-drawn cart, the occasional rustle of a coat added subtle texture to the serene silence, creating an auditory backdrop that was soothing, almost hypnotic in its consistency, and entirely aligned with the reflective rhythm of the household. Within this serene environment, the family gradually settled near the hearth, savoring the gentle calm of the pre-dawn hours, observing the soft interplay of light and shadow, and allowing themselves to fully inhabit the quiet, reflective space of early morning. Each heartbeat, each subtle movement, each gentle flicker of firelight contributed to an immersive meditation, a space where minds could rest, bodies could relax, and hearts could dwell in contentment.